sound more like everyone else than anyone else.
Hey, all right, it's Kip Casper.
Spreaker is the website which turns anyone into a radio DJ. Log on to Spreaker.com for listening to thousands of radio channels and start creating your own radio today.
It was the year World War II ended, and the troops came home, and the music was fabulous, with big hits from Perry Como, Judy Garland, and the Andrews Sisters. The year was 1945. Listen to the year in music on the next Swing Time. I'm Gary Rustin, and I'll be featuring the biggest hits from that year, along with trivial information about the prices of items such as groceries, the news events, the culture of 1945 on the next Swing Time. Imagine one day tuning around on your internet radio only to find a station playing old radio programs complete with commercials and thinking, what am I tuning into? The past? You might be, or it's just GJRB Online and Radioland. A day of nothing but classic radio shows back to back with classic commercials in between, like the days of radio. Almost like your computer is picking up signals through time. Closer than you'll ever get to time travel. Radioland. Now, back to the last 7 days.
Because you haven't psychologically converted it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Well, there was. Yeah. And Vladimir Putin is digging in, preparing for war.
He should be, eh? I've seen where they tried to take him out the other day.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. He is building in the Ural Mountains a 400 square mile facility underground.
Whoa.
Well, 400 miles square facility underground.
They built a city underneath there. Watch and see.
He has ordered the building of a 400 square mile facility in the remote wastes of the Ural Mountains from where any future conflict could be directed.
400 miles.
That's square. But still, that's huge, though.
So you're going to build an underground city?
That's a big. Didn't say, but he's building. And also, they're working on a new nuclear bomb called Satan 2.
Well, here's a appropriate name for it.
One bomb, and it takes out a country the size of France. One bomb, and all of France is vaporized. Called Satan 2.
Especially into the United States.
Apparently, Satan 1 wasn't big enough.
See, he calls it a bunker that he's building. I would almost like to call it a container. To contain the refuse.
And of course, the retired Green Beret is warning the governments are preparing for disaster and war. Pretty much the same thing that we've talked about here. The German government's saying that you should prepare for 10 days of food, 5 days of water, which I don't really kind of understand.
Yeah. You'd be all fighting for it.
But anyhow, and then
days of water. Oh, sorry, you don't.
and then the United States, Obama recently gave a speech in June as an ominous veiled warning to Americans to be prepared for disaster. He said in June you're supposed to have an evacuation plan and have a fully stocked up disaster supply kit. By the way, that would also go against one of the executive orders that hoarding food probably. DHS just ordered $200 million worth of radiation detection equipment. Russians are building, which you already talked about. So there's a Green Beret says preparing for something.
I wonder this new bomb they're building, if they're going to use any of that uranium that Hillary sold them.
That's her private email.
No, she sold 20% of our uranium mines.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
Otherwise, we're giving them the weapons to kill us.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Through the Clinton Foundation.
Yes.
The most violent cities, the 50 most violent cities in the world, 41 of them are in Latin America.
They said Chicago's
not even on the list.
not even on the list.
Not on the list.
This is a place that already has how many murders?
500. They got double what they have the same amount as New York and Los Angeles combined together. Of the 50 most violent cities, murders. This is not like war. These are actually murders. 41 of the 50 most violent cities are in Latin America. 21 of them in Brazil. The number one, socialist utopia, Venezuela, Caracas, Venezuela.
Yeah,
number one.
They're all starving.
Number one, yes. But 41 of the 50 most violent cities are in Latin America. 21 of them in Brazil. All centered around drugs and gangs. And here's like a coming anniversary we can all celebrate. Very soon we will have, maybe even now, we'll have more government workers in manufacturing by 10 million. 10 million more government workers than manufacturing jobs in the nation.
Yeah.
That's what we're at. 9,932,000. That's how many more government workers there are than manufacturing jobs. Almost 10 million more government jobs than there are manufacturing jobs.
Oh.
10 million more.
Not 10 million.
10 million more.
So you match the factory workers in America, then add 10 million to it. Yeah, I wonder what the actual number is.
Okay, the actual number is the manufacturing has 12,281,000 and federal and government employees are 22,213,000. Almost 10 million more government workers than there are manufacturers.
Because if the government doesn't hire, our country collapse. Oh, did you hear the
almost 100 million
ITT Tech shut down every campus in America?
I saw that posting. You have
8,000 people overnight.
Oh.
ITT Tech shut down every campus in America. Laid off 8,000 people overnight.
A candidate's death could delay or eliminate the presidential election. And not only that, I'm not so sure it has to be even a death. Perhaps if it's a serious illness, may actually suspend the election.
Look, Hillary was popping real bad the other night.
Popping really bad.
Yeah.
Especially since it's apparently gotten even. Close.
Oh, right. Jonathan Bradmeyer was making fun of that yesterday. It was funny.
The presidential election could be delayed or scrapped altogether if conspiratorial theories become predictive and a candidate dies or drops out before November 8th because of health. Perhaps equally startling alternative, if there's enough time, small groups of people handpicking a replacement pursuant to obscure party rules. There's nothing in the Constitution that requires a popular election for the electors serving in the Electoral College, says John Nagel, a law professor at the University of Notre Dame, meaning the body that officially elects presidents could convene without the general public voting. There's no law that says
that was just all game to begin with.
I said that like 15 years ago, and people thought I was crazy that our votes didn't matter.
I call it business reports the whole theory of it being rigged.
And elect the president.
That's pretty much what they do anyway, but they're supposed to be representing our interests by us voting for the candidate we want, and then they're supposed to vote what we decide in our district.
Oh, you vote.
Yeah.
So they are supposed to vote.
Yeah. No, they don't have to.
Trump at 70 would be the oldest person elected president, but his health has received less coverage over the election cycle than apparently unfounded speculation he will drop out. Clinton, 69 in October, would be the second oldest president-elect, months younger than Ronald Reagan in 1980. So, if Trump gets elected, he would be the oldest president elected. And if Hillary gets elected, she'd be the second youngest by a few months to Ronald Reagan. Although Clinton's coughs and stumbling have earned speculative headlines in the news-driven Drudge Report, her doctor, Lisa Bardak, said she is in excellent physical condition and fit to serve.
You better say just Biden then. You know what's good for you.
Old age doesn't rule you out a full presidency. Ronald Reagan served 2 terms before dying at 93 in 2004. Other recent office holders have lived beyond their life expectancy for the general population. Gerald Ford died in 2006 at 93. George H.W. Bush is still 92, and Jimmy Carter, 91, are still living. Well, you get the best care, too, that's part of it. If something were to happen to Clinton or Trump before the election, rules established by the Republican and Democratic parties do offer guidelines for what to do. If Clinton were to fall off the ticket, Democratic National Committee would gather to vote on a replacement.
Here comes Bernie.
Members acted as superdelegates during this year's primary.
Yeah, Bernie
Overwhelmingly backed Clinton over vote-rocking socialist Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. DNC spokesman Mark Postenbach says there currently are 445 committee members, a number of changes over time, and is guided by the group's bylaws, which give membership to specific office holders and party leaders to hold 20 spots for selection of states, along with the optional 75 slots that DNC members can choose to fill. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Bernie's, if Hillary dies, he's still not getting a job.
Bernie Sanders? Oh, I'll tell you what. Bernie diehard fans would just crucify you for saying that.
Hey, Gary. Drop the quarters over there.
There it is.
Oh.
Yeah. There really hasn't been any precedent. There's been some close calls, but one thing to remember is 9/11 happened on election day.
Oh, that's right.
And it was suspended. Local elections.
Yeah.
That's because of 9/11. And here we are. The feds may be preparing for the unthinkable negative interest rates in America. This is where the banks actually charge you for holding your money. Okay?
Wonderful.
It hasn't worked anywhere, but the next time we have an economic downturn, it's going to happen here in the United States.
Never stops us from crying in America, though.
Negative, well, it's good for the banks, which, if they need money, this is, we can either bail them out or,
It's supposedly good for the banks, but it's not in the long run.
No, I don't. No, it's not. It's not, because it doesn't work. Because, okay, well, let's start. Negative interest rates are spreading like a virus. Central banks in the Eurozone, Switzerland, Sweden, and Japan all have below zero policy rates. NIRP, and that's negative interest rate policy. As economists call a negative interest rate policy, it is a desperate move, but the only one that these central banks have. The Federal Reserve hasn't followed yet. When the next recession strikes, I believe Janet Yellen will choose to break the zero lower bound. The rationale was laid out in Jackson Hole. Look behind the headlines and you'll see the Fed's already preparing for NIRP, negative interest rate policy. In theory, negative rates should encourage consumers and businesses to spend more freely and stimulate growth. It hasn't worked out that way. NIRP just punishes savers and makes everyone miserable. The Fed's recent Jackson Hole retreat was an opportunity, and sure enough, they had a session on negative nominal interest rates. The lead presenter, Marvin Goodfriend of the Carnegie Mellon University, is an unabashed NIRP proponent.